Boxing's endless capacity for controversy and drama reappeared on Saturday night in Glasgow when Josh Taylor was awarded a shock victory over Jack Catterall and retained all his world super lightweight titles. But the undeniable nature of his championship reign has been marred by unreasonable decisions. Amid the furor and fierce disagreements, each fighter was judged to have won by a score of 113 to 112, while the third official thought Taylor had won an almost unbelievable 114 to 111. Catterall knocked Taylor down hard in the 8th round and he was clearly the better fighter. The bruises and cuts on the lucky champion's face tell a very different story on the scorecards, even though Taylor insisted he had done enough to win the decision. It's understandable that a distraught Catterall soon left the ring in disgust as another dubious decision tarnished the already tarnished reputation of English referees. With both men battling left-handedness, it was often a mess and even a bad scrap, and referee Marcus McDonald deducted a point from each fighter. He also warns Catterall and Taylor repeatedly about the rough nature of their fights, but most of the clean and precise work is done by the impressive Catterall. Taylor's opening half was clever, but Catterall landed a meaningful first hit when a straight left hit Taylor and shook his head back. There was a hint of nervousness from the challenger as he dominated the early rounds behind his sharp jab and sharp combination. Taylor tried to close the gap, but Catterall continued to hurt him, as he did again in the 5th round when a sweet left was soon followed by a right. Blood seeped down the champion's face from the incision opened by Catterall's punch just below his right eye. Catterall was warned by the referee in the 7th round and, after a poor round, Taylor raised his hand as if to show he had finally found his footing in a match against his skilled opponent. McDonald called both fighters to the center of the ring before the next round as he urged them to fight cleanly and curb their excessive grappling. Catterall, it seems, unleashed the defining moment of the fight when he brought down Taylor with two sharp left hands. Ben Davison, Taylor's coach, urged him to find a champion mentality after the destructive round. The 31-year-old Scot is usually tenacious and tough, but he couldn't come close to a knockout, with all his supporters believing he needed to defend his title. They each dropped a point as McDonald's patience ran out, but the fight ended with Catterall landing the cleanest punch yet again. The decision in his favor seemed a formality until the astonishing verdict was announced. Asked after the bout to explain their tumultuous emotions, Catterall's coach, Jamie Moore, appeared visibly upset. "It's hard to put into words," said Moore. "You're talking about a kid who has worked his whole life for the moment, who waited 3 years for that opportunity, and stepped aside to allow champions to unite because that was the right thing for boxing. He went on to go that way and beat the champion in his own backyard, and was totally robbed." Catterall made his debut in 2012 and has worked in relative obscurity for his entire professional career. The 28-year-old Briton had been a mandatory WBO challenger for 936 days, and hadn't boxed since November 2020, before finally getting a chance to fight for all the titles. Catterall is also struggling financially while waiting for Taylor to finally fight him, as he has agreed to step aside and let the Scot unify all titles against Jose Ramirez in Las Vegas last May. But, contrary to most expectations, Catterall recently revealed that he received no money for agreeing to wait to fight the winner. Such patience is a virtue outside the ring as well as under the hot lights of a world title fight against a supposedly supreme champion. Taylor has been considered the best boxer in the country and one of the top 5 pound-for-pound boxers in the world, but Catterall, displaying incredible composure and determination, came close to winning. The champion's last 6 opponents are unbeaten and, between them, they have a perfect 133-0 record. It is expected that Catterall, like all those before him, will fall at the final hurdle as he does not face anyone remotely anywhere near Tay's caliber. Lore in the previous 26 fights. But he and his coach have been warning, in a calm and unobtrusive manner throughout the week, that Catterall has been simply denied the opportunity to fight at world-class level. He took a late chance with admirable determination, only for 2 judges to rob him of his rightful victory. But Taylor was exposed badly by Catterall. He was clearly distracted by future fights, which were always a dangerous weakness in an unforgiving business like boxing. Taylor also looked pretty skinny and parched at Friday's weigh-in and, after some tough battles in the ring, he battled against a Catterall looking much fresher and more settled. Victory against Catterall in his final bout as super lightweight world champion was meant to be another stepping stone on Taylor's carefully planned path to potential boxing greatness. But Catterall, nicknamed El Gato, or Cat, surprised him with his sharp and predatory instincts. Catterall will demand a rematch and another crack at the glory and fortune he has denied for so long. A relieved Taylor would be advised to think long and hard about what he does next in the ring because, drained of weight and sunken eyes, he is very lucky to have survived this ordeal at home in Scotland. Greetings, sports. Always, keep sportsmanship. Greetings and greetings, from Boxing 2022.